Hey guys, Pro1701 here, and today we are going to talk about the second Doctor Who story, The Daleks. I just rewatched it for the first time since about 2008, and I enjoyed this watch through a lot more. I still don't think it's like my top 10 favorite Dalek story. It is definitely essential Doctor Who viewing since it is the first Dalek story and the second Doctor Who story. But the last time I watched it, it was like a friend of mine's ripped copy, found somewhere on a computer. We watched it at his house, and we just watched like all 7 episodes, just boom, 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 boom. And that is, whew. The Daleks is just not one of those stories I can sit there and just, next episode, next episode, next episode. I can't do it. When I watched it this time, I paced it out during the day. I'd watch an episode, and then I'd kind of take a break, and then I'd watch another episode, and I'd kind of take a break. I didn't ever really watch an episode or 2 episodes just back to back. I'd take a little break, and I just kind of watched it throughout the course of the day as I was off that day. And that worked a lot better. It really let me enjoy the story more, because 7 parts is a lot, and it's definitely not the worst 7-parter. It definitely paces itself better than, say, Ambassadors of Death, which is just a slog to get through. But it's certainly not as well paced as, say, Inferno, which never drags to me. I love Inferno. But it's interesting. It's a good take on the Daleks. It's a good first story for the Daleks. Their voices aren't as good as they would get later, but I'm very forgiving of that. Since this is their first story, I mean, they had a lot they had to figure out, getting the Dalek design down, getting how to move them down, getting the voice down. There's so much that had to go into this story, and there's so much in this story that plays into, you know, what the Daleks would be going forward. So I'm very forgiving here, and they're still better than the original voices for Day of the Daleks. And, you know, with the flashing lights, that works well. And I love the fact that even in this first story, they have the eye that, you know, contracts and widens, much like in the modern series. I always like that better than, like, the Genesis and Up Daleks in Classic Who, when it's just that static eye. I never really liked that. The first Doctor is fine in this. He's still kind of the grumpy, crotchety Doctor. We still see a lot of that, like early Hartnell is, which, sadly, that's all some fans who go back and try to watch Hartnell, they only watch, like, the first couple stories, and they kind of give up on him. Hartnell. And they don't really get to see him grow into the more kinder Doctor we're used to. It's still not exactly kinder Doctor, but more caring and empathetic. Not empathetic. Empathetic, I guess. Definitely a lot more empathy in him. Much like Capaldi's Doctor grows. Capaldi has a very similar character arc like the first Doctor does. There's still a lot of times in this one when he's kind of willing to leave the Thals to their fate and just get out of there, and it's kind of Ian, Barbara, and Susan who are having to be the voices of reason here and be like, no, we have to help these people. The Doctor, the only reason he stays is the fluid link gets lost. And again, we see the whole situation happening because he has to see this city, so he pretends like the fluid link's out of Mercury. The Doctor is very selfish here. He doesn't necessarily want to put anybody of his crew in danger, but he is very selfish, and his own self-interest kind of come first to him, except for maybe Susan, and getting her out of there. It's nice to see the Thals. I like the Thals. I hate the fact that we haven't seen the Thals in a long time. I always wondered what happened to them. I mean, we see them again in Planet of the Daleks. I mean, they're also in Genesis, but that's way before. And by Planet of the Daleks, you know, they have space flight. They're much more advanced. But we never really see them after that. I'm always curious what happened to them. Even in Destiny of the Daleks, the Thals don't seem to be there. We don't run into them. So I'm curious if, since they got spaceflight, they left and went to other planets and just left Skaro, or if the Daleks eventually wiped them out and won the war, some of both. I'm always curious what happened with the Thals. Interesting hearing the Daleks' backstory here, as it doesn't quite jive with what we hear in Genesis, hearing about the Dals, what the Daleks were originally called, and how in this story it kind of makes it look like natural radiation mutated them. It's interesting how Genesis kind of changes up on that concept. And most of us, when we think of the Daleks' history, we do think of what Genesis establishes and not what's established here. I think the jungle setting is really neat with the petrified forest. I think that's a really well done city. I love the Dalek city. I love just how basic and stark and just bland it is. It's perfect for the Daleks, like, no chairs really or anything, because they don't need them. The design of it is perfect for the Daleks, just kind of a blank, boring, white walls and city. It's devoid of any kind of personality, and that's perfect for the Daleks. It just, just totally emotionless. The city really fits the Daleks perfectly. It's a really good design. The Dalek design here is pretty good. I never liked that little bit of metal that's on them, like right here. It does look a little proppy. But again, it's the first story. I'm willing to forgive a lot for that. I think all of the actors are really good here. And again, I appreciate it more so than the last time I watched it. I think it's a good 7-parter if you space the episodes out. I think you could have done it in a shorter amount of time. I don't think 4 parts would have worked, but 5 or 6 I think could have handled it. I really enjoyed Ian and Barbara when they're in the caves. The little bit with the caves I thought was pretty neat. I thought the set design was really pretty cool there. Works really well, I think, for the black and white footage. And when they're having to jump across the gorge. Yeah, I really liked it a lot more. Again, not like top 10 Dalek stories, but I definitely appreciate it more now than when I watched it before, and I was just having to watch all 7 episodes kind of boom, 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 because I was pretty put off by the end of it. So yeah, I really like it. I've enjoyed my rewatch of An Unearthly Child. I've enjoyed my rewatch of the Daleks. Again, for a first Dalek story, it's pretty impressive and does a pretty good job of establishing them and their what I guess you could call the Dalek personality. I think it does a really good job. So, On to the Edge of Destruction, which I've only seen part 1 of, so that'll be a treat for me. So, let me know what you think of the original Dalek story and what you think of my thoughts on the Dalek story down in the comments below. I always enjoy hearing from you guys. Other things to do: click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon if you like what I do and would like to contribute to what I do. There is a link to that down in the description below. I even have a new poll up that will be running through October, depending on when this video goes up. Yeah, through October, voting on the next Doctor Who animation I will be watching. If you're interested in that, it is open for any of my patrons at any tier level. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.